This is an unrehearsed program. The views expressed are those of the guests and not necessarily those of the producer. Today's topic:
Protecting a Culture of Whistleblowers in Passion for Truth, award-winning program.
Welcome to another edition of Passion for Truth. Whistleblowers are condemned in both third and first world countries, but are the levels of reprisal same or different? And does the investigation of the case bring ultimate justice to the whistleblowers in these countries? The top intelligence officers at the Pentagon who helped uncover Pakistan's efforts to acquire nuclear weapons was not only fired but also struggled to get his federal pension. We'll ask our panelists next. Fred Peterson, Defense and Counterterrorism Advisor as Congressional Fellow. Fred is also Senior Fellow at the U.S. Freedom Foundation. Retired Ambassador Jonathan Dean, International Advisor on International Security Issues, affiliated with the Union of Concerned Scientists. George Nesterchek from the management consulting firm Nesterchek and Associates, former Staff Director for the U.S. House of Representatives, and John Culbertson, Chief Executive Officer, Culbertson and Company, also a former administrator for the 17th Congressional District of Ohio, and Dr. Abul Hassan Ansari, a researcher on the historical perspectives of Indian events impacting on Muslims in India and abroad. Welcome you all.
Thank you.
Dr. Ansari, was Richard Barlow right in tracking and reporting the work of Khan, the Pakistani scientist who had collected materials to produce nuclear weapons?
Well, if our intentions, our government's intentions are to prevent the proliferation, yes, he was right. But at the same time, I think Dr. Khan did what he wanted to do for his country, and I think anybody will do it. Indian scientists have done it. We didn't blow the whistle. 1974, May 1974, when he exploded the bomb, that was the material stolen by the heavy water plant built by Canada. Then later on, 1998, Bajpayee did it, and CIA was on holiday. So it depends upon which side you are on. My personal belief is that if somebody is doing it and that is your policy, the policy has to be for everybody. No different policy for two different countries. I think the whistleblower should be awarded.
John, all he did was just to let the Congress know that the senior Bush administration was misleading the Congress. That's all he did, and he suffered so much. What's your take on it?
Well, traditionally, in our system, whistleblowers many times do pay a heavy price in terms of financial burden, legal burden, and so forth. They generally are not, we make a distinction between first and third world, they're not at risk of life and limb so much, but still it requires a great amount of I think, patriotism and also courage to come forward. When you do unmask a series of missteps, and it really doesn't matter whose administration it is, you embarrass people, and they're going to try and retaliate in any way that they can. And certainly there are a number of things around the Khan affair that are still not yet known. And as they are discovered, we'll probably see additional reasons for the pressure this fellow had on him.
Shaping intelligence to fit political goals, George, a major fallback in our democracy still?
Oh, I suppose that happens from time to time. I think in the case of Barstow, referring to him as a whistleblower, he wasn't a whistleblower. He didn't even rise to that level. He was a responsible government official who alerted his chain of command to a potential problem, and I think through what I would consider unscrupulous reaction from some of his higher-ups, his career was destroyed. But he didn't even publicly disclose the information. That's a whistleblower going public. So the man was done tremendous damage to without even having violated that trust within the chain of command. So I think that wrong really needs to be righted. But your other question as far as the shaping, using intelligence, distorting intelligence to suit public policy, That's a tough question sometimes, because the whole world of intelligence is not an absolute world where you've collected all the knowledge that you could possibly have and subsequently make a decision based on analysis of all of the information. There's always curtailed information. You never know what else you might need to know to make a sound decision. So that's a tough call. If someone comes in and after the fact you say, but there was also this information and that information, had that been added to the equation, we would have come up with a different conclusion. There's always that out. So I just don't see, that's a tough question to answer. And frequently it winds up in the political arena, getting kicked around as to what the intentions were they right, were they wrong, did they truly distort the information, or was it partial information? It's a slippery game.
Here I would like to interject that misleading is nothing new. You know, if you look into the current administration, you look about that Robert Tillman who was killed. Excuse me, we covered it up. Then with Jessica Lynch's story, there was a great story, turned out to be fake. Weapons of mass destruction, they all have been misleading the people. So depending upon who is the politician, what party you are in, I mean, misleading is not uncommon. We know that our country, entire nation is being misled, but are we doing anything about it?
Mislead. Let's take politicians who speak half-truths. They don't lie. They just don't tell you all the information you need to have for you to make your own decision on a public policy, whether it's health or war or financial investments or anything else. So, you know, there are gray areas here. I'm troubled by that. If someone purposefully lies, misrepresents information that they know is wrong, that's a whole different ballgame, and those people should be prosecuted.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Ambassador Dean, that the government at that time needed these people. They had to send the fighter planes to Pakistan because Mujahideen was fighting the Soviets in Afghanistan, and so does it boil down to a compromise between rules and reality? I mean.
Well, it's a human dilemma and a conflict of values. We want these systems to work accurately and to report accurately and to give us the truth, yet we have loyalty to superiors. We have reluctance to admit error, as in the case of this soldier, Pat Tillman, where the senior officers covered up the fact that he was a casualty of his own forces. And I think it's a good system which, after all, attempts to compensate for these characteristics of human nature by having whistleblowing, but it's not enough to have whistleblowing carried out and executed within the same structure that has generated the problem. That will never work. It will be more suppression and so forth. So my view is that this is a good institution, but responsibility for it should be spread outside the institution where the whistleblowing takes place. For example, in the case of the executive branch of the United States, there should be some judicial input, some congressional input, so it will not be possible for that branch of government to suppress the fact. And then I would say also internationally, in the case of an analyst who discovered that there should be a way of reporting this, for example, to the IAEA, to Al-Baradei, that they should look into it, publicize it, so forth.
One of the difficulties, you know, we do have whistleblower protections in the United States for government employees outside of the intelligence community. Basically, every government employee outside of intelligence falls under whistleblower protection statutes, and it is a third body that intercedes, the Office of Special Counsel. And the statistics there, out of about 100 cases, only 1 or 2 whistleblower cases, only 1 or 2 are upheld. Most cases are erroneous or false. Mm-hmm. The individual doesn't have the full picture when they want to blow the whistle. So that's why you have to be very careful. And then in the intelligence community in particular,